So, the last time I made a video about Eric July, a bunch of people came in and got their knickers in a twist, even though my analytics say they didn't actually watch more than 1 minute of the video. So, for those people, go commando. I'm officially starting a commando warning for these videos, okay? You're gonna have to find something else to twist. But let's get into it. There is a lot of things you can actually criticize the Rippaverse for. You could criticize the website for being broken and constantly crashing and not working, and still having stock art on the buy page, and being unsecure to most web browsers. Those are some pretty serious things. You could perhaps criticize the overuse of the term transparent, as I often find people who are, you know, doing this screeching the loudest, so to speak, are often the ones who are, you know, doing what they're preaching against. And that's not an accusation. I'm just speaking generally here. So once again, I hope you're commando and finding something else to twist and chew on. But one thing that I don't think makes any sense is a recent thing that happened with some writers from CBR. So, for those that don't know, CBR is a pretty crappy comic book website. They don't really talk about anything interesting. And a bunch of their writers came out and were criticizing the price of ESOM, I think it is, number one. I don't know. I stopped paying attention. Really, I did. It's guys, there's other things out there in the world. And I'm just like, this can do whatever it's going to do, and I'll just pick it up later. It's like, you know, early adopting can be kind of silly. But anyway, these guys from CBR, they've come out and they've said that he's charging too much, essentially. And they go on to compare it to things like All Star Superman and Watchmen in terms of price. Now, the reason I'm having a giggle here is because of how absolutely stupid that is. The basic reality for this is DC and Marvel and their parent companies have agreements with printing agents and distributors. They distribute a lot, whether it be toys, comic books, movies, clothing, posters, you name it. They distribute a lot, and they do it in bulk. And it's not just like, oh, DC's distributing. No, is it still Discovery that owns them? I don't know. This is how little I pay attention to DC and Marvel these days. But, you know, it's everything that their parent companies have too. They would all use one distribution company, and they would have an agreement there at a lower price due to the higher volume. That's how business works when you buy in bulk. And the sad reality is, for indie creators, including Rippaverse in this context, that's not an option, because we aren't I'm not part of this. Not yet anyway, but indie creators in general, they don't have, you know, millions of copies from 20 different books and novels and then a merch line and all that to ship at once. Right? So often we have to find a smaller shipping company that will even work with us and handle the amount that we want. And we need to find multiple shipping companies from multiple countries, or distribution companies, I should say, to try and get these things worldwide. And in most cases, it ends up costing us a lot more per book than it does DC, Marvel, or any other book or any other person or company of large scale who deliver goods. That's just the reality of it. And on top of that as well, someone like Eric July and even Ethan Van Sciver, they don't have, you know, the same amount of money as these large companies do, and yet they have to pay staff to help them handle these logistics, you know, to label, pack, ship, all that sort of stuff. They need staff to do that. So not only do they have much less money, but they're also paying people to do the work. Plus, they're paying for distribution at a higher rate, and they're paying for their own printing at a higher rate as well, for the reasons stated before. So it's absolutely stupid to compare All-Star Superman or Watchmen, you know, comics that have been around for 20 plus years now and have already sold a bunch and are guaranteed sellers on the shelf, that have been printed years and years ago. Some of these will be leftover stock, some of these will be reprints. And on top of that as well, have had movies and stuff dedicated to them. Like there's a much bigger audience there, and a much bigger company behind it. So they don't pay nearly as much. And these are old comics that have been around forever. So of course they're going to be cheaper. The fact of the matter is, it's such a stupid argument that actually holds no water to anyone who has any sense as to what is going on, how a company works essentially, and how shipping and distribution works. So I just think that's really, really stupid. And as skeptical as I am of some things, and obviously, I wish Eric July the best. I think, it's great what he's doing, and I'm happy for his success. That's great for him, and I like seeing people succeed. I hope when people get their hands on this comic, they read it and they enjoy it and they find a new fandom, and they can focus on this instead of DC and Marvel. And I hope maybe they start looking at other creators outside of DC and Marvel. Maybe this can be the doorway to that, which would be really, really cool. But for people who claim to be comics book journalists, and believe me, video game, comic book, pop culture journalism ain't journalism. I work in that industry. I know. But yeah, it's just absolutely stupid what they're saying. Like I said at the beginning, there are some things you can criticize Eric July for. None of them are, like career-ending things. They're just things you can criticize him for if you're looking for things to criticize. But the sad reality is, these guys are grasping at straws. And it's just stupid. It's immature. They know what they're doing as well. It stems from jealousy, and I have no idea how they think anyone's going to buy this, but the sad truth is people will. So that is what I wanted to say about Rippaverse. I'm also a little bit disappointed because I was like looking around on the internet, and it appears to me like Eric July has taken sort of a bit more of an aggressive stance against the people criticizing him. And look, he's probably getting a lot of it, and he's probably sick and tired of it and trying to run his company. And that's, so I get it. But it is a little bit disappointing that he's resorting to sort of insulting them instead of educating them. I feel like if he just put out like a blanket tweet, or a tweet longer or whatever, I don't know, I don't use Twitter, but those things, just explaining the cost behind it. One, it puts them in their place because you provide them with facts to win the argument. And two, for a guy screeching about transparency, there should be no issues explaining the costs. So I don't understand why he didn't go, look, okay, I hear your criticism. This is why the book costs what it costs. Here's a breakdown of everything. I'm a transparent company. That's in my, what does he call it? His code of conduct. So here it is. And, read it and weep. That would have been a much better victory, and he actually would have looked better to the broader public, not the people super involved who are, refreshing his Twitter page, constantly to see what's going on, but to the general public who are going to see this when they're just browsing the internet in headlines, etc. I just think that would have been a bit better to go with. But, I'm not his PR person. He is his own person, and he can do whatever the fuck he wants. So, that's my 2 cents. On the Eric July stuff and the CBR thing going on. I just think it's absolutely stupid, and shame on CBR. They should know better than that. But yeah, so I can't wait to read the comments on this one, and have a great day, evening, whatever it is you are having. I hope it's good.